I'm Virginia, also known as Pharmacist Virginia, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to create health information videos for patients and the public. So these are health information videos which are for educational purposes only. These are not marketing or advertising videos. I'm just going to share my presentation with you. So let's get started. Today you will learn what hardware and software you need to get started, some best practice advice for evidence-based health information videos, how to film yourself, the essentials of editing videos, and how to post your videos on YouTube. So before we get going, who am I and why should you spend the next maybe half an hour or even an hour learning about this? So I'm Virginia Chachati, and since 2014 I've been a registered UK pharmacist. I went to the UCL School of Pharmacy in London and I got a master's degree in pharmacy. Then since 2020 I moved from the UK to Germany and have been a medical copywriter and video creator since. I've worked with the NHS, the WHO and the Patient Information Forum, and I've also attended a lot of YouTube health courses, workshops, webinars and events in 2023 and 2024. And I was also the unofficial person who wrote up notes from lots of the workshops and webinars and events. And I also managed the YouTube Health WhatsApp community. So here are a few examples of what I've created on my channel, Pharmacist Virginia, and I get a few thousand views on my videos and also a few thousand views on the shorts videos I've made for the NHS. And on my video for the WHO on Instagram, I got 550,000 views on my video about antimicrobial resistance for their campaign, I think about a couple of months ago. I've also been featured in the NHS and YouTube Health case study where they spoke about creating videos to help support people with their health. And I recently completed a project where I had to create 5 videos and then include subtitles in 10 different languages. So this was 55 videos total, and these are the 55 thumbnails that I had to create in all of the respective languages. So you could say I'm a YouTube veteran now that I've done all of these different projects and worked with all of these health organizations. And I really believe that health information and educational health information can help support patients to make decisions about their health and improve shared care kind of standards and also improve patients' outcomes when it comes to the care they receive and their care journey. Health information videos can be put into patient pathways as well. So what hardware and software do you need to get started? So let's start with hardware. So I recommend having a camera, a tripod, a microphone, a light, memory because you will need a lot of it if you're creating videos, a notebook if you want, this is optional, but I love to have a notebook next to me, and a quiet place to record. So when it comes to a camera, I recommend 720p resolution or 1080p resolution. So you might see on your phone something like 30 frames per second or 30 FPS, which is perfectly fine. You do not need to go all the way up to 60 frames per second, which is usually like Ultra HD. So if you have a HD camera, it will usually be 1080p. You can use your phone front camera or your phone back camera, and you can screen share to either an old phone or to your laptop or to a tablet or even to your smartwatch. So one of the ways I really like to record is if I want a high definition kind of shot is to use the back camera on a Gorilla tripod like this one here. So I will use the back camera and then I can screen share. Actually today I was using my watch. So I just go to the camera function on my watch and then I select that and I can actually press record from my watch and I can see what's on the screen even though I'm looking at my back camera. And it's a similar setup with my tablet. So my tablet has a much bigger screen than my phone and a way bigger screen than my watch. So it's much easier to see and check that I'm actually in the frame and I'm on camera in the way that I really like. And most of us will have an old phone. And if you do have an old phone, then you can screen share your new phone to your old phone. And so you can control your old phone using the controls on your old phone to control your new phone. And you can use that to record as well. So having a 2-screen setup is what I would recommend. And it also saves you time having to get up or reach to press the button to record on the camera. If you do not want to record on your phone because it's a small screen or you do not have a second screen to watch yourself when you're recording, then I would recommend using a webcam on your desktop or laptop. So when you're creating health information, it's really important to keep in mind that the reason why people are watching you is because you are a trusted healthcare professional or expert in your field, and you are sharing information that is usually difficult for people to access. So they will not mind if your camera quality is not that great. What they really want is the information from you. So you do not need a fancy camera with a massive lens or a gimbal that follows you around. I would also recommend that you have a tripod. So are you going to sit or stand when you film? I recommend sitting because you might be filming for longer than you think. You might need to do multiple takes. And I would recommend a 1 meter or 2 meter tripod. And if you want, you can get really fancy and you can get a tripod like this. Let me just grab it. Which has a hinge in the middle. So this actually bends so I can attach my phone here and I can film maybe a picture that I'm drawing or some notes that I'm writing. And this is extendable. And I think it's interesting if you do have some options for yourself, if you want to get some different shots. And this is a Gorilla Stand or Gorilla Pod. So it's got these nice flexible legs. And I've also seen some people who will get a pop socket that they stick to the back of their phone. And then when they stick it on the back of their phone, they then stick that socket onto the wall or glass window. But if you do get one of those, just test that it's sticky enough and it will hold the weight of your phone, maybe at a very low angle, just to check that it's not going to fall when you stick it maybe 1 or 2 meters high to film yourself. When it comes to audio, a microphone is really important because clear audio means that people can hear you and they might not even watch what's on screen. So some people watch videos almost like a podcast these days. And I wanted to recommend a couple of different microphones. I'm just grabbing them on my desk here because I'm just surrounded by all of my film recording stuff. So the first one is the DJI. So this is the attachment for your phone. And when you switch it on, there will be a super tiny little screen that comes on like this. And it will be recording on this little microphone here, which you can clip to yourself. And I will just attach this to my phone like so. And then when I am talking on the microphone, you can see that it will have some movement there. And this means that it's working. It's also got internal recording, so that's why there's a red light on it. So I usually switch that off because I do not want the internal memory to get so full. I don't usually extract the audio from the microphone. And then the other type of microphone is in a similar way. It's like a little button, and this is the attachment for your phone. It doesn't have a screen or anything. And this is a nice little magnet clip like this that just sticks to you and it will start recording straight to your phone. So if I show you, it just attaches like this. So it's super small and super portable. And then I've got my big podcast mic, which I'm recording on right now. And that looks like this. And I would recommend if you're just getting started that you have a nice little microphone that you can clip to yourself, and also give yourself the option of a nice big podcast mic. So this is the Blue Yeti, and I've heard some people use the Shure M7 Plus, and that might be an option for you. You can also have an arm stand that attaches to your desk that you can use if you don't want the microphone in front of you. Then you'll have the microphone to the side, kind of hovering, and you don't need to worry about knocking the microphone. I would also recommend that if you are going to be filming away from a big screen, that you might want to consider a boom stand. So this is a separate stand that you have that will be holding your microphone close to your face, maybe above you if you do not want the microphone on screen. And this is kind of like a directional microphone, and usually people will get a brand like Rode, and they will get like I think it's a NTG5 or something like that. And you can try one of those as well if you don't want a microphone on screen. The next thing is lights. So if you are going to be filming in front of a window, that might limit the time of day that you can record, because you cannot record at nighttime. So wear sunscreen if you're going to be filming in front of a window, because again, you'll be sitting there for a long time, and windows do not block out UVA light. So they block out UVB, but not UVA. So wear sunscreen. The other thing I would recommend with lights is that you use an LED light rather than any lights that have big bulbs, because lights with big bulbs can get really hot, and then you're going to have a fan in the light, which is going to be really noisy. So you want to limit background noise, and I recommend an LED light as well, because usually they tend to last longer. You might also want to invest in a light that is quite bright and that you can change how dim or bright it is. So I have a light which is 200 watts, and that gives me a lot of options. So if I want it to be very dim, for example, then I can do that. Or if I want it to be super bright for a demonstration, or maybe I'm taking a photograph, then I can do that too. And you can also get lights which are different colors if you want a second light, maybe as your background light. But generally, you do not need more than one light to get started, and it will usually be a light that is directly in front of you, like I have right now. Or it will be a light that is probably to one side of you at a 45-degree angle, and then you might have another light maybe at another 45-degree angle. But then you're making your setup quite complicated, and this is going to lead to resistance to filming videos. So try to keep your setup as simple as possible. And I would also recommend that you do not have a ring light, especially if you wear glasses like me, because then you'll have rings in your eyes, or you'll have rings on your eyeglasses. And a way to get around that is to use a box light. So you can use it's kind of like a big cube pillow, if you like, that is over the light, and it's a transparent pillow, not an opaque pillow. And that helps to soften the light and control the spread of the light as well. There's also like a honeycomb attachment, which helps to direct the light directly at you. And again, you can have your background light. When you are filming, you want to switch off all your room lights. I have my room light on at the moment, but it's dimmed because I can actually change the setting for my lights. And I have a main light which is in front of me now. So I'm kind of using 2-point lighting. And I also have blackout curtains as well, because I do not want natural light coming in, ruining my lighting setup. So the next thing you want to consider is memory. So video does take up a lot of memory, and I would recommend having an external hard drive, around 1 terabyte or more if possible. So I'll just grab what my one looks like. So I actually started off with a 1 terabyte hard drive, and I ended up upgrading to 4 terabytes. So I use little animal stickers to remind me which one has the really big amount of memory. So this one is 4 terabytes, and that's why it's got an elephant sticker on it, because it's the biggest animal in my sticker collection. And I recommend that you get something that's easy to plug into your phone. So, for example, this has a USB-C port, connection, which fits to my USB-C port on my phone. So once I plug it in, that means I can actually transfer any kind of videos or pictures directly from my phone. And I do not need to email the videos or pictures to myself or text it to myself on WhatsApp or drop it into my Google Drive. And some people do use cloud storage, but that can get quite expensive. So I would recommend avoiding keeping everything on your laptop or PC, using a portable, easy to use hard drive like this, and using your cloud storage for kind of backup and final versions of videos. So if you do create a final version of your video you're really happy with, try to have 2 copies of it, just in case one copy is corrupt, because that can happen with technology sometimes. So do have a small portable memory hard drive. So having a notebook is a good idea as well, because I like to have handwritten notes to plan what I say, and then I use a pen to edit. A lot of my scripts tend to be often handwritten, and then I will use it as a prompt to speak on camera. When I'm using notes for a health video, I will usually try to script it out if I can in full, especially if it's going to be a long video, because I do not want to misspeak. Otherwise, that can make editing more of a chore. And so I would recommend that if you want to have notes, you prefer them to be digital, then have it in a way that is easy to read from maybe your secondhand phone or tablet or laptop screen, so that it's easy for you to remember what you want to say and hit all the points that you want to hit in your video. So the last thing you need is a quiet place to record. And this could be before or after work in a clinic room where you work if you're a healthcare professional, or maybe in a lab if you're a scientist, or wherever you work as an expert. It could also be your office. I am currently filming from my bedroom, and some people will film from their living room. Maybe they have a nice sofa, a nice setup there, or your kitchen if you have a nice island in the middle of your kitchen. I do not have that luxury, but I would love to film from my kitchen. I usually film short clips in there if there's anything to do with food or drinks. And I would recommend that you do not film anywhere that shows any confidential information in the background. This could be patient notes. And you also do not show a view into the street, because first of all, it might give away your location, but second of all, people might walk past and you'll need to blur them out or edit that out. So give yourself less work to do by filming in a closed space. You also want to try and avoid filming next to a window with a busy road, because again, that could contribute to background noise. And I have had my fair share of sirens and helicopters appearing in the background, and maybe dogs barking, and they have been a moment of frustration during recording, which I have had to edit out, or I will simply just repeat what I'm saying after the noise passes if I can. There's also construction work and things like that that can get in the way, so try to avoid filming too close to a busy road. So what software do you need? So I would recommend having software to help you with writing and editing text, video editing, sourcing pictures and animations, and maybe some B-roll or videos that you want to add on top of your video. So B-roll is when you're kind of adding extra things on top of your usual video. So for example, right now I am filming my A-roll, which is me speaking. And then my B-roll might be something like some photographs that I want to add on top, or maybe a video of me filming that I will add on top. And another piece of software you might want to consider, this could be software/hardware, is a teleprompter if you feel like you cannot talk confidently on camera yet, and you want to kind of practice the words you are going to say and then perform them on camera using a teleprompter. So when it comes to writing and editing text, I use Google Docs, Microsoft Word, a combination of Apple Notes and Samsung Notes, whatever I can kind of get my hands on to write things down. I've also used Asana in the past, and Trello is kind of similar to Asana, which I've used with other kind of clients. And then some people love and swear by Notion. It depends how you'd like to organize your writing and your source material, your ideas. So I would recommend that whenever you think about creating something, you write it down somewhere. And recently I've also been using WhatsApp. So there is a function on WhatsApp where you can just send a message to yourself. And I find that really helpful because sometimes I'll have an idea, or I'll be browsing a newspaper and I really want to address some misinformation, or there's a really interesting educational topic that I want to talk about. So for example, I was reading about the dangers of using hot water bottles and blistering when a hot water bottle bursts. And so I would recommend that you keep everything in one place, and that makes it much easier to stay organized and then be prepared for when you have time and space to film. When it comes to editing your text, I would recommend you use readability tools to make your writing more accessible. So Microsoft Word does have a readability tool that you can use, which is built in. And if you want, you can copy and paste your information into Hemingway app, or an NHS document tool, or Shell, which is the Sydney Health Literacy Editor. And these three tools are online, they're free, and there is a pro version for Hemingway app as well, which involves some AI. And when you are making your writing more accessible, it means that you're going to make it easier for yourself to actually say on camera. And then also it means that whoever is watching is going to be able to understand you better and remember the information. So usually when someone is unwell, it may be the case that they are looking for information, but they don't feel very well, so they're not going to really put in the effort to try and look up any difficult words or any technical medical terms. So try to make your best effort to make your writing as easy to understand as possible, which will make it easier for you to record and also a better experience for whoever is going to be watching you. I'd also recommend that you check for errors and spelling mistakes in your work as well. There is a Grammarly free plugin. It can be questionable sometimes at how good it is at recommending things for you to change, but it can be something that throws you off if you are reading from a teleprompter or reading from your notes if you've made a spelling mistake. So do double check before you start recording. When it comes to video editing, I would recommend some free apps that you can use on your phone or maybe on your desktop. So there is a dedicated YouTube app called YouTube Create. It's in beta testing at the moment, and I think it's only available on Android. There is something called VN Editor, but you cannot film in this directly. You would have to import things, and also you have a limit of 100 projects. There is also Elevate.io, which is an online web browser software. And this is free, but it can be a little bit slow at the moment if you want to use that. So I recommend it for short videos. Then there is free software that you can use, which will export your video with a watermark. So for example, Riverside or Filmora. And I personally use these two on a paid subscription. And if you want to invest a bit more and want a bit more access to other features and tools, I would recommend using Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. So Adobe Premiere Pro can be used anywhere. Final Cut Pro can be used on Macintosh or Apple software. And I have also used CapCut in the past, but I realized that some people may not have access to that. And also, when it comes to free video editing software, as some people have experienced with CapCut, you might have access to a lot of fantastic features in the beginning, but they might slowly start to make them premium features. So just be aware that if you're using free software, it might become paid for in future. When it comes to finding pictures and animations, I use Canva Pro. So there's a free version of Canva and there's Canva Pro where you have access to more images and more videos. There's also Pexels and Unsplash and iStock. And I've also bought some videos and backgrounds from iStock as well. And I find the quality of images is really high. And no, I haven't been sponsored to say this, but if you're looking for images, it can be difficult to find medical ones. So there are some medical websites which are free. They might include icons and things like that you can use, which I've listed here. There are 4 of them. So there's BioArt, BioIcon, Smart Servier, and Draw Biomed as well. When it comes to a teleprompter, you can either use it on your desktop or on your mobile phone. And so here are a few that I use. So I've used Prompt Smart Pro or Prompt Smart Plus, and also Riverside. And some people in the creator community use Elgato Elements, where you can physically attach it to your phone or to your webcam and you can read off it, or you can attach it to your camera as well if you've got a big camera that you use. So here are some best practice tips for evidence-based health information in general, but it's very applicable to videos. So you want to think about who is your audience. So in this case, it's going to be patients and the public. So think about their health literacy levels and also their numeracy literacy levels. So some people do not understand percentages, for example. So the Patient Information Forum recommends that you avoid using percentages and you use terms like 1 person out of 100, and then you use like for like as well. So instead of saying 1 person out of 100 versus 2 people in 1,000, that you actually use the same numbers for the larger number. I would also recommend that you consider explaining all medical terms, because health literacy can be quite low, and it is a privilege to know what we know as healthcare professionals. It might feel like or sound like basic advice to us, but it will be news to other people, and we want to help people with health information that we are creating and providing. If you are going to be writing about or recording a topic, if you are going to be recording a video about a topic which is outside your field of expertise, then it might be a good idea to consult an expert in that field or get a review from them on your script or your notes before you actually film the video. And you want to make sure that your audio is accessible, so it's loud and clear, but also that you are not speaking too quickly, because I understand that when you are filming, you may feel stressed and you might start to speed up because you want to get it over with. But I want you to consider and think about the experience of the person who is going to be watching your video. And also consider the visuals, if they are big enough on screen. So some people will be watching videos on their phone, for example, and if your visuals are too small or they're made for a large screen, then you should first of all put some kind of notification to say that the images used are best viewed on a large screen, or you should try and make them bigger or clearer by using high contrast. So for example, using black on white or white on black, but do not use, for example, blue on green or red on green. So consider people who may have elements of color blindness as well. You want to include references. So where did you get your information from? What is the evidence base? And you can include that as links in your video description on YouTube. And if you are looking for evidence and you cannot actually find anything, then you need to actually be honest about that. Be transparent. Do not be misleading or exaggeratory, because if you exaggerate things, then people will be less likely to trust you. And second of all, you probably wouldn't want to do that as a healthcare professional, because you want people to feel informed and empowered to make their own decisions with the information that you've provided to them. So if there is limited evidence or no evidence, then say so. And then you could say what your professional opinion is, but clearly highlight that that is what you are expressing. And if you can, try to review your content every 3 years as a minimum, because this means that you are considering how your old information may need an update, because when it comes to health information, there's usually a high turnover, especially in new areas of research. So consider archiving or removing your health information and creating something new, or updating it as soon as something new comes out. So if you want to learn more about best practice guidelines, then I recommend you check out the Patient Information Forum or the NHS content guidelines, and also have a look at PIVTIC standards. So the PIVTIC is an assessment, and it involves checking your health information creation process. And I myself am PIVTIC certified, and other creators of health information, including charities and pharmaceutical companies, have also got the PIVTIC Trusted Health Information Creator standard that they can put on their videos and written work. So when you are thinking about writing your health information video script or notes, make sure that you put it through a readability checker, and then make sure you practice the script or your notes out loud before filming, because you need to feel what the words will sound like when you actually speak them out loud. And if you start to stumble over your words, then that might be a reason to change your notes or edit them slightly before you start filming. Try to get feedback from an audience before you publish. So speak to someone who does not know about what you are going to be filming. So, for example, I usually ask my husband, or I might ask my mom or my dad or my sisters, and maybe some of my friends if they're free, just to have a look over and see if something sounds like it doesn't make sense, or it could be explained more clearly. And that can be something that is really valuable, because it means that your audience is going to receive it better and get the information you are trying to give them. If you publish a video and your audience has questions, then acknowledge the feedback and act on it if appropriate. If you do not feel like the comment is appropriate, then you can hide it or block that user, so you do not need to deal with any negative comments. But it can be really useful in opening up your kind of breadth of knowledge of that topic. So, for example, on my videos about chickenpox, a lot of people asked some very intelligent questions that I did not think of. And when someone is experiencing something, they may have questions that are unique to their experience. And I've learned a lot through answering the comments on my videos. So how can you film yourself? So you want to make it as easy and simple for yourself as possible. So you can either film horizontally, which means this way, or vertically, which means this way. And you want to film for around 3 minutes or so. And I would recommend that you focus on filming long videos which are horizontal, because if you can do those well, then you're going to find vertical videos a lot easier. And I would say if you can film a long horizontal video, then you are building your authority in that space or that topic. And also it's easier to refer people to long videos rather than to short videos. So those long videos will include extra details and nuance that you would want to describe to a patient, maybe in clinic. And so I recommend you get used to doing long videos which are horizontal. And I would also recommend that you focus on one specific topic or question at a time per video. And you can do different styles of videos. So for example, you could do comparison videos. So I recently did one which was calamine lotion versus hydrocortisone cream. Or you can do something called a listicle, which is when you list several things in a video and you give it a number. So for example, I had a video called the 6 treatments for molluscum, And I'm not really talking about diagnosing it. I'm not talking about who gets it. I'm talking about the treatments specifically. And I would also recommend that you dress in professional clothes with your name visible. So for me, I usually have my Pharmacist Virginia badge in the corner, and I've done that recently because I realized that it can be less easy to identify that I'm a healthcare professional. So I want to make it really obvious as well, if I'm wearing a white jacket, that I am not a doctor, I am a pharmacist. And if you are filming, I would also recommend that you look directly at the camera. Do not try to look away too much and try to avoid filming from the side, because when you are speaking to someone directly, you're looking at them. So looking at the camera is more engaging for the audience and the viewer. If you want to avoid saying or ah because you are thinking about something that you want to say, then I would recommend that you take a pause instead. And if you want, you can press pause on your camera, go away, have some water, think about what you want to say, and then come back and press record again. And then you can stick all of those videos together on your track when you are video editing, which we'll get to later. When you record, you want to be confident and composed. So avoid slouching or looking to relax. And people will take those visual cues into account when they are listening to what you are saying. So if you are leaning into the camera and you are really attentive, you're giving people attention with your eye contact, then people are more likely to listen to what you say. And when you speak, try to speak at a simple and consistent tone as well. So try not to suddenly speak really high or suddenly speak really low or suddenly speak really quietly or loudly. That can really throw somebody off, and also it might affect people who are listening to you through headphones. So consider that. And also there is no need for being high energy or trying to be funny or include some kind of humor in your video. You are a healthcare professional at the end of the day, or you're a scientist or expert in your field. And I would recommend that it's best practice to act that way. And if you're going to be representing yourself and your profession online, then you should use your full name and act in a professional way. So let's go through a few essentials of editing videos. So when you are editing a video, your video will be on a track. It's kind of like a train track, but you haven't got just one track. You've got multiple tracks that layer on top of each other, kind of like a cake. So I'm just going to show you an example of a video that I recently recorded, and I'll show you what I mean by train tracks. So here you can see I've got lots of layers, and at the very bottom I've got my main track, which is me talking, and then above that I've got a picture that appears on screen, which is this blue square. So there are other tracks like adding subtitles or adding music, and I can add pictures or I can add extra videos on top. And so as I go along the track, I've also got an end screen at the very end, which says thank you for watching. And if I want to, I can click on the track. I can separate my visual and my audio, but do make sure that they line up. If you are filming, sometimes some people will be filming their audio separately and they'll be filming on their camera separately, and then they have to go and line them up. So that's why some people will clap at the beginning of a video so that they can match up the audio with the picture. You can usually cut out anything that you don't want on screen by clicking like the split or the scissor tool over here. And this, when you use it, you just click on it and it will segment the track. So now you can see there's like a split in the middle and there's like a plus. And I can actually click on that part of the track and I can either delete it or do other functions and things. But as a very kind of essential editing skill, you want to be able to snip things out and delete them, maybe any long pauses or repeated phrases from multiple takes. Maybe you had to repeat a sentence or that kind of thing. The other thing is I would recommend adding images or other video on top of your visual and audio. And there are other things we can get into, for example, adding transitions and things like that. But that is not really necessary if you are a complete beginner. If you want to add subtitles, I would recommend adding them last. So for example, here I'm on VN Editor and I want to actually generate subtitles. So what I do is I move along the track and then I click on this button here, which is auto captions. And then now it will generate some captions. And this will help me to add that to my video. And when I generate the captions, I will then edit them. It's so important to edit your captions. And the reason is because when it comes to medical and health information, it means that you might be saying long words or technical words that are not usually captured in regular conversations in English. So you'll have to go and double check that these words are spelt correctly. And sometimes you might have a medical word which is split up into several words. So for example, if I have a long medical word like hydroxyquinolone, then the AI might not be able to detect that word, and then I will have to go in and check that it hasn't separated that word into several little words, and then I have to delete them all and then just put the word hydroxyquinolone in. And I've already shown you my end screen. You can make this for free on Canva. You can just pick a template and change the colors, add a picture, add some words, and it can be about 15 to 20 seconds long maximum, and you just stick that at the end of your video track. So how do you post your videos on YouTube? So why YouTube? So, okay, I'm biased. I have a YouTube health t-shirt and also a jumper. I think YouTube is great for several reasons, and I've listed some here. So the first one is that YouTube has automatic translation for subtitles and audio dubbing as well. So even if you release your video in English, then YouTube can translate it into different languages, and you can select the different languages with the settings on the bar at the bottom of the video. And the interesting thing about audio dubbing is that it's a relatively new feature at the time of recording, which is January 2025. And that is quickly becoming adopted by some of the really big YouTube channels. And I would say that it's a brilliant accessibility feature because it means that if you cannot communicate with your patient directly in English, then having audio dubbing means that your video will be accessible to them. You can also change the style of subtitles to suit the viewer. So if they feel that the subtitles are too small or they're not the right color, that they don't like them, then they can change all of that again on the settings bar at the bottom of the video. And YouTube allows you to add links to the description so people can click to see references, and you can signpost in a crisis as well, or you can also add other links, for example, a way to contact you or a way to check out your other social media channels if you decide to post your videos in other places. YouTube videos can also be viewed with low data allowances on mobile phone tariffs. So I think we take it for granted that we can often have quite a lot of access to data on our phones, and we've also got internet Wi-Fi at home, but some people will only have internet access on their phone because they will be on a budget or there is a standard of living crisis. So it's important to be mindful of that. There is no need to log in or sign up for an account for YouTube if you want to just view a video. And that's important because it means that you can use that link and you can send it to several patients, maybe you're on a waiting list, and they can view the video without having to be distracted by other content or an endless scrolling feed of short videos. So that's another reason to do long horizontal videos. The other thing is that videos are searchable on the YouTube channel itself. So there's a little search function, and I do not believe that exists on other social media channels at the moment. So YouTube is the original search engine that is owned by Google. And so the search functions are pretty top tier. So anyone who is looking for health information will be able to find your video. And also, if they lose the link that you've sent them, then they should be able to search for your video and find it that way. Another reason to choose YouTube is that there is a YouTube health shelf. So if you are a doctor, nurse, or psychologist in the UK, you can have a little tag underneath your videos that says from a licensed healthcare professional. And that currently doesn't exist on other social media platforms. So this increases credibility, so people know that they're actually watching you and not your video, which has been taken and put on somebody else's video channel. So you'll also appear higher in search results if you want to be found by the wider internet audience, if you want to have impact, beyond just your immediate patient group. And also you can find out more and fill in the application and look at the requirements at health.youtube. I believe the requirements were 1,500 watch hours, and you do not need a minimum number of subscribers, but you do need to be a doctor, nurse, or psychologist in the UK. So I'm a pharmacist, and so I'm not eligible to apply for this unless I ask a doctor, nurse, or psychologist to apply for me. There are different requirements in different countries. So if you're thinking about getting the licensed healthcare professional tag, then have a look at health.youtube and you will find the requirements for different countries. I think there are just over 10 countries that can apply for the licensed healthcare professional tag and be on the YouTube health shelf. So how do you actually post your video on YouTube? So you have to create or use an existing Gmail account to log in to YouTube, and then you click the create button and add your video file. Then you add a title, add a video description, and any relevant links, for example, any references and any signposting. You can also add a disclaimer or conflict of interest statement. So if you do have a clinic, for example, you can say, I do own a clinic that helps to treat maybe a health condition like acne. And you can also add a thumbnail as well. You can create this quickly and easily on Canva, so I'll leave you to explore how to do that. And you'd also have to check a few things, like ticking the box to say that it's not made for kids unless it is made for kids. If it is made for kids and you want it to appear on the kids version of YouTube, so there is YouTube Kids, then you can check that box, but it means that you will not have anybody allowed to actually comment on any of your videos. So you'll also want to click the box for your video not going against any AI guidelines. So there are certain AI declarations that you may need to make if you have used AI in your video, and that's in the process of uploading your video to YouTube. You can also export an SRT subtitles file from your video editor, depending on the program that you decide to use. And then you can upload that SRT subtitles file to YouTube, or you can just allow YouTube to generate subtitles for you. And then you can add an end screen element. So for example, on the end screen, you can add a circle to subscribe to your YouTube channel if you want more people to find you. And you can also add an element which is another video if you want people to click and watch that video next. And then you're done. And then you can press publish and you've got your video posted on YouTube. And then you're ready to share the URL link to your patients or the public. And you can use that same link to embed that video either maybe in an email newsletter or maybe on a website page where you've got more information about that. I hope you found this mini tutorial helpful. So thank you so much for watching. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can read some of my stuff at my website, which is virginiachachati.com. And now I will leave you with the end screen. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next video.